when you're in the spirit, it's like, I think the Bible says that all things are known to you, or all truths are known to you or something. And it's like, even for them, they kind of see God's point of view on sin too. They're not really wanting to sin based on now that they get it, like how God understands it, right? So this is it's just a straight torment. It's no fun at all. The guy was just, because I was in his head for like a split second, and he was just horrible torment. They have full understanding that they're in hell, that they're waiting judgment, no chance of escape.
Welcome. My guest today on Heaven Encounters is Cody, otherwise known as Bloodbought, because he's a Christian rap artist under that name. And we'll be giving you a link so you can know where to go to get that rap music from Cody. But Cody had experienced drugs, was on methadone to get off of heroin, and that caused his heart to stop. Then he went into hell. He was showed three places in hell, three categories, if you will. He'll tell us about those. But before we get into any details, Cody, I want to welcome you and thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Well, Cody, so and you're still young, but in your youth you were heavily into drugs,
Yeah,
fentanyl. Let's begin with kind of what got you into that, and then you had an experience with fentanyl where you almost died, and then with an overdose of the methadone to get you off of heroin actually caused your heart to stop. So tell us
right.
about some things that led up to that, please.
Well, I grew up in a Christian home, up in Washington, and the neighbor kids, one of my best friends, his family, his house, it was a lot different than my house. They were drinking and coke parties and prostitutes and bikers and stuff like that. So I spent a lot of time over there, and just ended up running astray, even though I knew better. So just kind of got into rebellion and started doing drugs. And then when I was 16, I decided to fully serve the Lord, and um, I did that for about 10 years, and one thing led to another where I let one little small door open, and next thing you know, I was full blown heroin addict again. Just everything just surprised me, so to speak. But
Right.
I look back on it now and it checks out. So,
Yeah. Well, so you were addicted to drugs at this point,
right.
and to try to get off of the heroin. I mean, you had an incident with fentanyl where actually you almost died, and then
Yeah, I was in a,
someone, and we were talking about whether this was an angel, told you would be okay. You don't even know who that person is to this
yeah,
day.
I've had the Lord step into situations where I should have been dead many times. I spent a couple years on the streets, and um, just one time I was staying in it was near Oakland, California, and I drove all the way to San Francisco, and I picked up some fentanyl. I stayed in this hotel room that night, and I, uh, I had the suckers at first, and those weren't making me feel good enough, and so I opened up one of those patches, and I took one of those patches, and then I ended up on the floor, just kind of coming to. All I remember is somebody standing over me, just smacked me in the face, kind of like they were saying things like "You will live and not die." Um, just saying things that would maybe an angel might say or something. I don't know. I mean, as though the person was praying for me, and it was pro me living for sure. So
Yeah.
when I ended up coming to, that person was gone. Just kind of like that was just one of the things in my memory. Somebody was in my hotel room, not, they weren't supposed to be, and next thing you know, they're gone, and now I'm like alive and standing up, and I'm like, whoa, I did too much, and somebody was standing over me, praying over me. It does say the angels come in human form. Who knows? I'll find out later. You know,
Yeah.
what
Well,
happened?
yes. We'll find out later. Confirm that
Yeah,
in heaven. But you weren't going to heaven when this experience happened, where your heart actually stopped, and you were clinically dead at that point. So tell us
yeah,
what
hard
happened
percent.
after you stopped breathing.
Um, so this was in Fountain, Colorado, and I took and I would always do this. I took 10 methadone tens, and in the morning I take 10 methadones. About 12 hours later at night. And this day I decided to drink. Somebody gave me a bottle of Everclear, so I drank the Everclear, about 4 double shots, or maybe 5 double shots. Who's counting? Make long story short, I ended up going in my bedroom, and next thing I know, I think it was the death angel that just gripped me and took me straight for a ride. So, like I said, I had known Jesus since I was a little boy. I didn't like what I was doing. I wanted to stop. I just didn't know how to, shake the darkness or whatever, that had a hold of me. So, um, right before I knew that I was going to die, I had the inkling. Something told, like in the spirit, you start to know things that there's no way you can know. And I repented as quick as I could. As soon as I realized, oh, something's wrong, I'm dying. Jesus, please forgive me for my sins. And I think I didn't even finish that sentence. I was flying down a tunnel. And so the first section, I just started seeing people on each side. They were chained to the side. They were like sitting, some of them Indian style, some of them just sitting on their hind end. But they were screaming out we were flying past them. They must have been every 3 to 4 feet apart, maybe every 6 feet apart. But as we're flying past them at the speed of light, I'm downloading every thought, every feeling. Like I know them. I know that like all about them within that split second. And they were screaming, they were saying things like, let me out, I'm a Christian. So these were, I think, religious people. Either way, maybe they weren't, but either way, they didn't have a personal relationship with Jesus, and they didn't understand where holiness and righteousness actually comes from. It comes from the blood. So
So
that was
they
the
were
first set.
people, the ones that just paid lip service to Jesus, or not. Kind of the Bible talks about, the seed falling on basically thorns and not taking root, and so there was that you were seeing as you were descending into this pit.
Yeah, exactly. There's only two types of people I can think of, and those are people who, they just say they're a Christian, but they live like the devil, maybe, or the people that it's all in their works. Um, that their righteousness, their salvation comes from how many good things they do, and not knowing that they come before a judge, and you're going to be judged for whatever you did. It doesn't matter how many good things you tell the judge you've done since you go to prison for what the crime you committed. Period. It's just how it works on earth, and it's kind of a shadow of how it works in heaven, I believe.
So and you were in the space of what of hell, correct? And so this was place number one, and you saw three places. The first place were people that were professing to be Christians, but they found themselves they weren't living the life. They weren't showing the fruits.
That was their answer to whoever whatever had a hold of me. It was a giant, and I was a rag doll, so there was no point in fighting. But they were looking past me. They were making these cry outs to this thing. So that was that they knew that being a Christian was the way out. That knowing Jesus as your Lord and Savior, that the cross is the way out. They know that. So that's what they're saying as trying to get out. That's about as much as I can make of it. I was pretty terrified. Like I said, I was just flying through this tunnel, and everything was effortlessly downloaded into my mind. You know, people say that Santa Claus, like, how the whole thing about Santa Claus, how does he, little kids might ask you, how does he know everybody's wish list or whatever? And it's just like, it's, I don't know, just kind of an analogy of it's nothing for the Lord to hear everybody's prayers all at once. Don't matter how many people there were, because I was downloading so many like full characteristics, full profiles of people. And it wasn't hard for me, and I wasn't even trying.
Hmm.
So that That's just
You had
kind of
some
like
kind of intuitive understanding of what was going on at this point, a sense of knowing.
I did. And another thing that since our interview, someone had mentioned to me, but I never personally got hurt or touched myself while I was in there. So that's something that kind of I didn't mention the last time we interviewed, I don't think. And it's like totally terrifying though. I didn't know what was gonna happen next. I didn't know what kind of damage I was gonna take. So it was
Yeah.
just freaky.
Well, about 25%, statistically speaking, of near-death or afterlife accounts are of those who have had these type of hell experiences. But you were en route to the second category. Tell us where on this journey through this tunnel, where you were going to lead you into that space.
So as we're flying through that tunnel, all of a sudden we just come to a dead stop, and I'm all of a sudden I'm looking at this giant, I want to say dome, like stadium or something, but we're underground. So and it's like it's somehow it's pitch black, but I can see still. So I don't know how you know in your mind you can conceive that, but it's totally dark. Plus I could see fine too at the same time. So whatever that means. Anyways, I'm looking at this giant line of people, and they're walking from one side to the other, and they go in a humongous circle. And I perceive the circle to be billions and billions of people. I mean, it was just like as far as you want it to go with your imagination. And as they're walking by, they're kind of zombie-ish, because they're not really all there. They're like in a trance or something. So, like they would have their eyes closed, be mumbling something. Some of them had their hands on the other guy's shoulders. Some of them didn't. They're wearing all sorts of different types of clothing from different age periods in time. Just pretty trippy thing to see. And one of them looked like he had maybe died in, I don't know, 96 or something. Like he just kind of looked like the way his clothes were made and everything was more familiar to me. And when I focused in on the guy, I end up going somehow, because he's got his eyes closed and he's mumbling. He's not really where I'm looking at him. He's actually somewhere else in his head. You know what I mean? It says in the Bible, you'll be given over to your sin. You know what I mean? And this is like nobody's having fun down there. So this guy, I focus in on him just because he kind of reminds me of there's just some familiarity there, and I go right into his head, and I'm in looking down, and I got his hands, I got his, elbows and everything. I'm looking down, and I see what he's doing, and he's doing something sick with a minor. So I'll just put it like that. So as soon as I seen what I seen, I just want to throw up. I just like my reaction was like that. And as soon as I had my reaction, which was right away, I was already back looking at the whole line, and I come to understand that this was like sexual perversion, like this was a section in hell for like those guys, and they're reliving it over and over in their head, their sexual perversion, and when you're in the spirit, it's like I think the Bible says that all things are known to you, or all truths are known to you, or something, and it's like even for them, they kind of see God's point of view on sin too. They're not really wanting to sin based on now they get it like how God understands it, right? So this is it's just a straight torment. It's no fun at all. You know what I mean? It's the guy was just, because I was in his head for like a split second, and he was just horrible torment. They have full understanding that they're in hell, that they're waiting judgment, that they're no chance of escape, and they're a victim to like this movie that plays over and over. Like I said, I came back out, and I'm just looking at the line of people, just in awe, or I just couldn't believe that that's what how many, that's what everybody's doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Doing
Cody,
something
you're
like that.
I benchmark, have the opportunity, having interviewed a number of people who've had these type of hell or hellish experiences, like Brian Melvin, who saw Hitler in hell, and the same dynamic was happening. They see their sins, what they've done, and the atrocities that they've committed in this place.
100%.
And let's keep in mind that at this point you're essentially brain dead. Your heart stops. Your brain follows within a matter of seconds. So you're not imagining this stuff, and it's not the drugs. You're in a place now that is very real to you, isn't it?
I couldn't get out of it. I was screwed. It was over. It was over for me. My whole, and then all the knowledge I knew about Jesus and the gospel and the Bible and all that I've written, all that I've known, it did me no good at that moment. Hey, I'm living like the devil. Just, I was just screwed. All I could think was, this can't be happening. This can't be happening to me. You know what I mean? You want to be in disbelief of where you're at, but you are so there, and it is I'd say it's realer than you and me being, me sitting in this chair. It somehow or another, like a dream is foggy. This is even clearer than what you and me got going on right now. So yeah, man, just totally worst day of my life, worst fear of my life, worst everything right at once.
Mm. Yeah, that to say the least, right? I mean, a lot of people who have had these experiences have told me that they have suffered from PTSD as a result because of the horror. It's worse than being in a battlefield because there's this hopelessness. And you are, category one for those who are, we call them hypocrites, those who profess to know the Lord, but don't practice that. They have no fruits. They have no evidence that they are born anew. The second category are those who have committed these atrocities, like child molestation. You witness that person, and it's played over and over. And then you're being led to a third group, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. So I'm not standing there very long before I remember that this thing's got me, because he was pretty quiet, but all of a sudden he just picks me up. We start moving again, and we're heading towards the wall, and in the wall, kind of built into it, is this giant, beautiful castle looking thing. It kind of looked like a church, maybe. I don't know, castle, church. It's just beautiful, and it looked like cathedral-ish. I don't know. It was pretty dope. I've never seen nothing that cool ever. Anyways, it was definitely like a place where maybe a king or just somebody super important, lived. And so we start heading towards this thing, and it had these doors that were they're door is shaped like this. It reminds me like Robin Hood or King Arthur's Court. You know how they got like the handles, or like that ring in the bull's nose, like for handles and everything. And it's these wooden doors, and they open themselves as I start to approach. I thought I was gonna get smashed into them, but they just all of a sudden, last second, they opened up, and it was real bright, and I think goldish, but like just bright. You know what I mean? Where you don't know what
Mm-hmm.
you're about to see. And as soon as we got in there, it's nothing but jail cells. And
Mm.
I've come to understand that this is a section for people who they want praise from men, to make it short. Like, they like the limelight. They want to be God themselves, basically, or they want to be worshipped in one manner or another. It could be low level or high level, but it's just all the same heart. So we're going down this hallway, and on each side was jail cells, but they had no doors on them. And in each one of them there was a person, and there was like, people dressed in all sorts of ways, like robes and like just stuff you'd see on movies, really. Like, that's what it's reminding me of. As we're going down this, everybody's kind of like, not like, you can't like talk to them or nothing. They're all just in that trance type thing, just like I said about the first line. And I noticed this guy on my left hand side. I noticed this guy that he reminded me of Abraham Lincoln type days, because of, or I don't know, a well dressed Anne of Green Gables or something like that. I don't know, like those movies with the horses and the wagons or whatever. You know what I mean? Like 1800s type of stuff, right? So, anyways, that type of stuff already intrigues me. I like that type of westerns and stuff. So, but he was dressed really nice. You know what I mean? Not like a cowboy, but he was dressed like he was rich, maybe. But anyways, I look at him, and I immediately download this information. So I know that it's like around the 1800s or something. I know that it's like American. I can see that he's Caucasian. I can see that for myself, but I can tell he's an American. and he was like a wannabe prophet or something. He's a
false
uh,
prophet.
yeah, basically, like, 'cause the information just that you download in the spirit is just general, and it's it's just like factual. Like this guy's like a false teacher or something. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, anyways, he got, like I said, well, he got my attention though, as I'm going down the hallway. Him of all people, because I related to him. I was like, that type American white and whatever. So I'm just kind of like, folk. He got my attention more than the others, and I guess that's all it takes, because I go right into this guy's head, and him and I are standing out on a lawn on kind of taller grass. Beautiful sunny day, birds chirping, wind, clouds, the whole 9 yards. Just beautiful day. You are totally outside somewhere, and it's very real. So I look over at him, and he's pushing the grass over with his shoe. He's pushing the grass over, and that was another thing, is I was wearing clothes too for some reason. I don't know what's up with that, but anyways, he's pushing the grass back and forth, and every thought that this guy has, everything he feels, is going to start downloading into me. I'm gonna basically become him plus myself. So he's has this feeling of deja vu, or like as if it's happened before, deja vu.
Hmm.
So, anyways, was having this feeling, and then he looks up, and he's has this thought that he's home, and so then I look up, I stop looking at his feet, and I look where he's looking, and then I see this big house, and it's 2 stories. It's kind of squarish, reminds me of like a barn. You know what I mean? Just kind of a plain white house. And he starts either speed walking or running towards it. Next thing I know, I'm looking at his back. And so, anyways, as he's heading towards it, I hear I perceive this arguing or this ruckus or something up in the top story. And it's like I can look right at where the noise is coming from. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of like doing superhuman type things, or I'm experiencing superhuman type things. I'm not really in much control. I'm just, things are happening to me. So, anyways, I wanted to know what was up with that noise up in the top story. And I immediately get taken off my feet by my friend, my non-friend, uh, Death Angel guy or whatever, lifts me up off my feet, and we just start flying towards the second story of this house. And we're in broad daylight, and it's just exactly as if it were to happen on, a sunny day or whatever, just to anybody. It wasn't like a dream at all. You know what I mean? So, anyways, we're flying towards it, and I brace for impact, and all of a sudden I go totally blind and deaf. And for a split second, because my mind is going so fast, it's like I thought that was where I was going to be stuck for eternity, in the blind and the deaf part or whatever. And then all of a sudden I can see and I can hear, and then I realize, oh, I just went through a wall, and that's what happens. You can't see and you can't hear for a second. So then I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I'm out of that. I'm out of that deaf dark place or whatever. I mean, that because I thought I was gonna get left there for some reason. And I'm in the top story of this house, and like antique, like looking stuff. You can tell that you're not in 2023, and looking around, and right in front of me are 2 demons, and they have alligator face. They have like reminds me of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, but it is way more exaggerated. So kind of like in between a snail and an alligator mix, demonic. There was 2 of them, and they're sitting there arguing about something. It sounded like, like imitation, speaking in tongues. So it sounded like a gibberish that was real ugly. It's just wicked to hear it. So you could just tell it was just satanic language or whatever. But so I can't understand that language, but I was able to understand what the point was. And what the point was is the dude never came into the house. The guy is still like waiting at the front door, and they wanted him to come up so that they could have their way with him, so to speak. I don't know. I I never got, yeah. So, anyways, they're frustrated, so they're arguing between each other. I think arguing, or they're just kind of complaining about it. But one of them looks straight at me like this, because they were both looking at each other. One of them just straight turns and looks at me. He's got these yellow eyes, just hollow looking eyes, but they're like yellow, and the black inside of them was just trippy, man. It looks right into my, like looking into my soul, and all of a sudden my voice in my head says, call him upstairs or call him up here, something like that, right? It was my own voice in my head, and I realized it was coming from this alligator faced demon looking thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
then I just thought in my mind, I'm not helping you. I'm not, like the answer is no, basically. It's just kind of what I think. And as soon as I thought that, it went from looking at me to just turn right back to his friend or whatever. And they both start like calling out a weird noise. And then I'm just sitting there and I'm like, that thing just telepathically talked to me in my head with the sound of my own voice and everything. If I wouldn't know better, I wouldn't have known that it wasn't just my thought. It would have been a thought that I was surprised that happened because I didn't control it, but I wouldn't have been able to know that it wasn't my own idea just because how it came in as me, right? So then they both start crying out, making this shrieking noise, this horrible, horrible noise. And then all of a sudden, this black thing appears, and it was like a black square. And it appears out of the wall and just starts coming across the floor in front of me. And it is eating the floor everywhere. Like everywhere it goes, it destroys. It just, just makes a big hole, like you could throw a pebble down it. You could spit down the hole and it would just take forever. It would probably never hit the bottom. I mean, it's just like leaving. It's only like maybe that wide though. But it comes in and this thing starts to spin like the Tasmanian devil when it pops up, and it's this big golden angel looking thing, 12 feet tall. I can't tell if it's a boy. I can't tell if it's a girl. And then it gives those two demons an order and sends them out through the wall. Next thing that happens is it calls out, and it has an instrument in its chest. It calls out this beautiful call, and I hear the doors just slam open, and the guy just starts running upstairs and just lays himself out in front of this thing, starts worshiping it. As he's worshiping it, the thing puts his hand down and he says, hey, get up, it's okay, it's okay. And it was fake. I can discern that it was just really cheesy fake, like pretending to be sweet. Stood him up and told him, everything's gonna be okay. And then the golden angel thing moves its hand like this, and then exposes a huge crowd. Now it's like we're on a platform, like a stadium, and there's a huge crowd of people that goes on forever. And the angel thing like pushed him up kind of to the front and told him, preach the message that I gave you, and then kind of just step back. And the guys start to talk, and I look over, and that angel thing is holding up these golden hieroglyphs, look like Egyptian hieroglyphs. And as the man would talk and preach or whatever, it would light up and it would spin and change and light up and spin and change. And it would keep going like that. And I'm looking at the angel thing's face, and it starts to smile like this. And the smile gets real distorted, goes up, 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 up into his temples. And you can just see this wicked mouth and everything. And we're looking at something. We're looking at the straight devil is what we're looking at. So as he's preaching, all of a sudden I start to hear people cussing and like yelling at the guy and from the crowd. And so it just like started to turn up, and I could hear what they were saying. They were saying stuff like, hey, that's what you told us when we were alive, and now you're, preaching that same crap to us now. Come down here, we're going to tear your arms and legs off. Basically, they're just saying things like that, violent things. They want to get at him, And so as they're doing that, all of a sudden the house just started to shake, and I got full of fear. And this thing that had a hold of me took me back up and out of danger, like up into the sky, like the moon. And now I'm looking down on the house that's all falling apart, and I'm looking at the sea of people all around it, and these people are all in hell. And and he's preaching on this balancing rock thing that's on a cartoon called Coyote and the Roadrunner. Yeah, this balancing rock, and these are fine. They're rock formations found in the high desert of America. But anyways, he's preaching on that balancing rock thing to the whole crowd. And then all of a sudden I see the crowd split from the back all the way coming up to the front. And it's just like the crowd is making way for whatever's coming through, and comes right to the front. Those two demons that had been sent off for a task. They came up with basically a young family. And the one that stood out to me, there's this little girl, and she had, I know there's no little girls in hell, you know what I mean? But I think it was just for effect. But she looks up with the other kids and is like, Daddy, why did you lie to us? She's wearing a little dress. She was holding a teddy bear, for heaven's sakes. Like it was theatrical, like it would be on a movie. You know what I mean? And this guy looks down. He's obviously he's done preaching because he heard the people cussing at him. And all of a sudden he looks down and he realizes that he's in hell. His daughter's in hell. His family's in hell. Everybody that he's preaching to are in hell because of him. That he's you know what I mean? Just this hopelessness, boom, and this heaviness hit him. And it's hitting me too so hard that I'm gagging. I just want to throw up. It's too much hopelessness. The idea that you'll never, ever get out of this place and it's over for you. It was just too much to take. So then next thing you know, I'm watching that. And next thing I know, we're back on like the green grass again. And I look over and there's that guy over there and he's thinking something's suspect, something's not right. And he's testing the grass to see if it's real. Like he's like, am I really home? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, we're starting this thing over again. And I immediately come back out. I'm just looking at him in the jail cell and he's in his trance or whatever. And then this thing just started moving me and I discerned that the next section is my section. And I just started digging my heels in, screaming out Jesus, screaming out Jesus, screaming out Jesus.
Wow.
And I'll never forget. And all of a sudden, everything just got bright all around me. And it was like these arms came down. It was like I was a little kid, maybe this tall, you know what I mean? Because he could reach down and just grab underneath my feet, you know? And I know it was Jesus, although like what it looked like was just a bright light. But you know what I mean? It's just like around me like this, just grab the bottom of my feet and just yank me straight back up. And then I'm just, boom, I'm in my body back in Fountain, Colorado, and I'm just shook. And I'm just like, what just happened? And I know what happened, but I don't know how to take it at all. I was unprepared for the event, and I didn't know how to respond. I looked at the clock and I was there for 4 hours, but my experience was over 4 days. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to make it short, but it was like time slows down if you're not having fun. So that's kind of the gist of that. But
well, that would be an understatement. Not having fun. So did the effect from this after you were revived? Were you suffering any PTSD after this experience?
Oh, I could not do anything. I could not go to work. I could not do nothing. I barely could talk to my wife or my any of my family members. I finally was able to talk to my father-in-law at the time, and I explained to him what I saw and everything. And he put two and two together. He said 1800s, a white American, false prophet, leads many people to hell. He sees a golden angel, gives him a message with golden hieroglyphs. Sounds like Joseph Smith to me. And he started showing me pictures. He showed me on the internet a picture of the house, and that's the house that I was at. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, that's the house. And when he showed me the laptop, and I'm looking at this, what's going on in my spirit was so intense that it just total confirmation. So that's who it was, you know what I mean? People, they comment, they say, well, you don't have a picture of Joseph Smith, so you don't know what he really looks like. So how is it when you're looking at this guy, that's the same guy? And I'm like, dude, the same way I knew everything else I knew when I was in there. I was getting information. The Lord gave it to me. He let me see that, I talked to a lady, she's a Mormon lady, and she said that in the Mormon church, they have the first section where they say that they're Christians. They're about works, the religious spirit instead of salvation, right? The second section with the pedophilia type whatever. She says that's rampant in the church. That's rampant up in the higher ups in the church, and then the just seeing the angel. That's the angel that he talked to in the woods supposedly and got the golden tablets from or whatever. Like, I mean, all this stuff is just like, okay, well, we're not talking about somebody else. But anyways.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's an experience that you had in the three groups in hell, and I corroborate that with some of the other hell experiences that I've heard, and yours is incredible to say the very least. Now you're a Christian rap artist, and you have this group called Bloodbot. Where if somebody wants to listen to your music, get your music, where can they go?
well, it's Bloodbot, Bought. So it's one word, Bloodbot, and then you could type in Bloodbot on Spotify or on YouTube. You could type in Bloodbot rapper, and I got some videos up there as well.
All right. Well, thank you, Cody. This has been eye-opening, to say the least. So I
Thank
appreciate
you
you
very
being
much.
with us. Now, here we've got some good news, and that is that if you know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, as Cody cried out the name of Jesus, as you have or can right now, then I have some great news for you. And that is, be of good cheer, because for you, heaven is in your future. Take care, and God bless.
Heaven is coming to San Diego at the first Heaven Encounters event this September 12th through 14th, 2024. World-renowned speakers, best-selling authors, and the largest ever gathering of Christian afterlife survivors will join host Randy Kay. Transformative presentations will be accompanied by dynamic worship, engaging panel discussions, inspiring ceremonies, and life-changing prayer at one of America's premier Christian conference resorts. Register now at randykay.org as seating availability is limited. Heaven is coming to San Diego. Don't miss it.
Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe. And if you'd like further information, go to our website at randykay.org, where our mission is simple: to share the great news of God's love.